what really was the challenge for me is because I had only experienced BNI in one meeting.
Yes.
And I was being sort of mentored and coached by leaders from Dubai, UAE, and Kenya. The reality for me was that people would ask questions and I wouldn't have answers.
Good morning. Yes, it's always a good morning here at BNI. My name is Solomon Tumwesje, and you're welcome to the very first episode of BNI Podcast Uganda. And I won't dive into what BNI is. I have an authority in the room. So I will, what better way anyway, to start the show, the very first episode, with the lady who brought BNI to Uganda. Let's dive straight into it. Diana, you're very welcome to the BNI Podcast Uganda. And it comes at a time when BNI is celebrating 10 years. Yes, 10 years. So Diana, please introduce yourself and let's have the conversation.
Thank you very much, Solomon. I'm Diana Ninsiina Kibuuka, and I'd like to introduce myself first, starting with family. I am one of 10 siblings, and I am a wife, a mother of 2 sons. I also like to introduce legally, my legal background. I'm a lawyer. And then with BNI in 2013, I found out about BNI and had the opportunity of bringing the concept and starting BNI in Uganda. And BNI is Business Network International.
Wow, Diana, you're a lawyer. You're talking Business Network International. I'm trying to connect the dots here. How does a lawyer end up in BNI, in business networking?
Solomon, that's a very interesting story. I had a client who, in addition to legal services, he had just relocated into the country and he needed support. So I would always recommend where to buy certain things and what kind of servicemen to support him as he relocated in the country. And he told me, you're very good at networking. There's this organization called BNI, Business Network International. And I remember when he told me that, I actually, said, no, I'm not interested in networking and I have a network. And but he said, no, you really are intentional about helping. And I really want to introduce you to this organization. So in December 2013, I get on a flight and I go to Nairobi, Kenya to explore this world of BNI.
Yes.
I really didn't know what to expect. I knew I would meet business owners, and I did meet them very early in the morning, 6:30 a.m. But more importantly, in the course of the meeting, I saw the power of business referrals translating into money. And even more powerfully, I understood that these business owners who were meeting at 6:30 in the morning to help each other grow business did not expect a commission when their referrals turned positive, when their referrals brought in a sum of money. And for me, that was a light bulb moment. As a lawyer, I had sat in many rooms where commission had been negotiated and painfully. And really, I felt that if we can do business without commission, it would change the way we do business in Uganda. So really, that's what drove me.
Okay, Diana. This was an unfamiliar territory for you.
Yes.
So what inspired you to take the move and be like, apart from the commission, weren't you worried that, Uganda, where I come from, commission-based business community, now I'm bringing this thing of no commission, I am changing the tide of the way things are done. What pushed you further to make the move?
Okay. So one, it's really the fact that having come from an large extended family, I had always been supported by people who were helping me on my journey. And I realized that not many people had the privilege of being supported on their business journey. So I saw this network in Kenya as an extension of people supporting each other on a journey. And I know how powerful that is from my personal family setting. So I also had that idea that if I'm able to bring people together and they're able to help each other, surely they can go so much further.
Yeah.
And for me, the power of doing business without having to pay commissions for referrals is simply that if you're actually able to charge the right price
Yes.
without adding a markup for the commission agent,
It will be good business.
exactly.
Yeah,
You're actually able
yeah.
to add value, give full value,
Yes.
and actually able to retain something, to survive, and to go further in business.
Aha. So you get on your flight, you come to Uganda, early days.
Early days.
What's your first move?
Early days, actually, my first move was on the flight back to Uganda.
Uh-huh.
I make a list of 100 people to invite
Yes.
for a BNI meeting, and I set a date. Yes, the date I
Wow.
set was 24th July 2014.
Yes.
And now my first move was to find a hotel. Interestingly, every hotel I would go to and tell them, I'm trying to organize business meetings at 6:30 in the morning, they would be like, there's no way.
Who comes to a
Exactly.
business meeting
There's
at
no way
6 a.m.?
Ugandans are going to come for a meeting at 6:30 a.m. But also, interestingly, they used to give me quotations in dollars. They would say tea, $21, venue, $500. And I remember I would get those quotations and say, but I'm just trying to build this community and I'm trying to bring business owners together. Can we find a way to work together that would allow me to pay weekly, but also that would allow us to pay in shillings, and that would also allow us to have a negotiated, because if we're meeting weekly, then it will benefit us both.
Yeah.
But it was very hard to get through. The other one was people. Everybody kept saying, Uganda is full, Kampala is full of buffet, and you're going to bring all those buffet in one room and basically host them.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And indeed, many people were really challenged that as a lawyer, I was choosing to go into business. I had never run a business before. And many people were saying, what do you even know about business? But I had seen with my own eyes a community of business owners supporting each other, and I just knew that it was possible to create the same in Uganda.
Wow. So, Diana, your first phone calls to these business people. So you make your phone calls, you have your list of 100. Oh, how did you solve that hotel challenge? How did you finally get a hotel?
All right. So interestingly, I was helped at the hotel, the first hotel that hosted BNI was Imperial Royal.
Yeah.
And I was helped by a gentleman called Patrick, who was a food and beverages manager.
Yeah.
He had seen me at Grand Imperial, where my Rotary Club used to meet, Rotary Club of Kampala.
Yeah.
And he asked me, Madam, what's the problem? And I said, this is my challenge. And so he said, let me introduce you to the general manager. Turned out the general manager was Kenyan, and turned out he was willing to take a bet on me. But even he used to ask me every time, are you sure? And so it turned out that the hotel never used to prepare for me because they were sure no one would come. So at 6:30, whenever I would arrive, I would definitely arrive at the hotel by 5 to start setting up with the team, because that the expectation was no one will come. Let's not put too much effort in it. But 10 years down the road, there's still a chapter meeting at Imperial Royal with over 97 members showing up before 6:30. So
our viewers and listeners, you may want to know that that's still the biggest chapter. I think that hotel has a blessing of sorts. I mean, what are the odds? But Diana, you may want to know that when a BNI chapter goes to a new hotel, every new hotel asks that question. Are you sure people will be here at 6 a.m.? A certain hotel in this city, we shall not name names. We tried it at BNI Sunrise. Oh yes, I'm from BNI Sunrise. And we went there, 6 a.m., 6:30, we were the only people there. No single hotel staff, nothing. First staff walked in like at 7 and were looking at him like they were embarrassed and in shock. But Diana, we continue. So you have this concept. You're not sure people will show up. You arrive at 5 a.m. At what point did you be like, hold on, this BNI thing is working? At what point?
I think, first of all, I had been in the room. So I was confident from the get-go that it could work. I just had to get the people in the room. It turned out that there was another an Indian gentleman who had come from India and had been looking for BNI in Uganda for 3 years.
Yeah.
So that was one contact that
Yeah.
came through. It also, my friends, I have a friend who is a dentist, been a long-term childhood friend, came on board quickly, a friend who was a graphics designer. And I basically was convinced from the get-go. So what really was the challenge for me is because I had only experienced BNI in one meeting.
Yes.
And I was being sort of mentored and coached by leaders from Dubai, UAE, and Kenya. The reality for me was that people would ask questions and I wouldn't have answers. you know? So it was daunting, to say the least.
Yes.
So they'd say, what will the chapter meeting look like? I'd say, I don't know, but I just have to, let's first form a group,
Yeah.
and then they'll come and train us. So I really want to thank all those. We had 24 members in the first chapter. I want to thank you so much because you came on board even
By
when
faith.
yes, even when purely by faith, even when there was no substance in what I was saying and no proof, because they didn't go to Nairobi to see the chapter. They believed. I told them I went, I saw, let's build this, and they believed.
I feel like this very first episode of BNI Uganda podcast is benefiting a launch director who is there not knowing what the next move is, who is there, But Diana, along the way then, what has surprised you most over these 10 years on this BNI journey? What has surprised you most?
What has definitely surprised me is the power of referrals. And a very recent story, we have a member who has a child who's sick and needed to fly to India, and a BNI member was able to support the India High Commission, get a doctor who would get on the flight with them. And these are referrals still. It's not business, but it's referrals, and they change lives. But in the first chapter, integrity chapter, we had a transaction of 1.3 US dollars. And million US dollars.
Wow.
Yes. And for me, it was proof of concept.
One referral like
One
this.
referral, 1.3 million shillings. So the power of referrals to change lives. Another thing which has changed for me is understanding the power of trust. If people trust each other, they can build so much together, they can do so much together, and they can work together. I have seen businesses come in. The one I like to tell the most is a young lady came in as a cleaner, and she was the cleaner. And, she was the business. Today, she has offices in Nalia. She has retainers with over 6, big
Organizations,
She has a team. And, of course, she's managing to the bank.
Yeah.
But I saw her grow organically. So, for me, the power of trust is that people will walk the journey if they trust you and if you trust them. They'll be invested in getting you to succeed.
I love that, and I love the member stories that have stuck with you. Remember what inspired you to take a chance on this BNI thing was the commission culture that was, I dare say, not very healthy. Do you think that culture has changed along the way after all these years?
For the community in BNI, it has definitely changed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have stories of people creating value for others through making introductions and referrals.
Yeah.
And actually, there's no kickback expected or asked for. I've seen it change within our community. In the wider community, I'm sure it's still there, but I'm sure that as we grow, we will definitely have more impact, and we'll be able to shape that landscape as well.
That's true. I mean, you launched Integrity, the first chapter, with 24 members. Yes. Now we have 14 chapters launched, 4 informing over 600 members. All those are business people whose mindset has changed, that forgive as gain and not commission based. But I also imagine you started as one leader. I know a chapter is led by a team of 3. Yes. Now you have 14 chapters times 3. Those are 42 leaders. And these leaders change every 6 months. So we are talking hundreds of leaders. What makes a good leader? What makes a good chapter leader? What makes a chapter or a chapter leader great,
Okay.
so to say?
Thank you for that question, Solomon. I'm going to pause and think. A good chapter leader,
Yeah.
and of course, I'm now speaking to the president,
Yes.
is one who has a clear vision for the chapter and can articulate it, can communicate it. And I always try to tell my leaders, just focus on one thing. What is one thing you could change? But have such a clear vision that you can see that one thing come alive and put all your energy, put all your effort into that one thing. The president turns the ship and they can turn it anyway. So you can imagine if you don't have a clear sense of direction, then it's very possible to turn the ship the wrong way.
Yeah.
For the vice president, also for a president, it's attitude. So vision and attitude. Attitude shapes the presidential term, because immediately a president changes, it's almost like there's a change in atmosphere in the environment.
Yes.
They bring their vibe, or they bring their aura, their energy. So a president will be faced with tough decisions, faced with many challenges. But if you maintain a positive attitude, which is one of our values, if you stay focused, stay the course, then you definitely will be successful. You will be successful.
You you mentioned the one that a chapter president needs to have one thing they need to accomplish, so to say, in their 6 months term. And I asked myself, what was my one thing? and it quickly came to me that my one thing was new members. I didn't want new members to get lost in the chapter after they have joined. I can say I think I achieved it, because all the members that joined during my term as president still call me president after 2-3 terms down the road. Very interesting, Diana. What do you see the next 10 years looking like? 10 years, 14 chapters, 600 members.
Solomon, I see very vividly, very clearly 5,000 members.
Wow.
Yes, 5,000 plus members across Uganda.
Yeah.
In Mbale, in Gulu, in Lira, in Arua, Kabale, Mbarara.
In different languages.
So we're starting our first Luganda chapter in Kampala.
Yeah.
And definitely, I know that means it will allow us to have a bigger community in Kampala.
Yeah.
I see a community which really transforms the way we do business in Uganda.
Yeah.
For me, that means honest businesses, businesses which look after their people, businesses which are concerned about the environment that they're in, businesses which are interested in creating legacies. How do we make sure that these businesses survive the founder, survive the first generation? So I see a lot, of economic power being directly transformed into community empowerment.
Yeah.
Because if we know better, we must do better.
Yeah.
And once we deal with the issue of resources through making sure that businesses are actually thriving, then we can change our community.
Wow, Diana. And then now we are here on our very first episode of BNI Uganda podcast. And I in my opinion, this is a very good thing, because we get to have conversations that relate to us here in our circumstances. I know you're very excited about this launch of this podcast. How do you see it playing a role, Diana?
First of all, we are going to grow as a community. So for me, this podcast is our talking point. How are we talking to each other? So we're going to hear different voices from the community. We're going to share different stories. Most importantly, we're going to learn from different leaders, even globally.
Yeah.
It's a space where we can gather around the fireside, connect and talk to each other. I also see it as a place where people can be celebrated. One of our values is recognition, where we can recognize leaders. There are those members who've been number one. Yeah, Brenda Sekabembe Beck for me, number one in Uganda for so many months running, so many years at some point, Stella Nassali. So many leaders, who have served and served with distinction. It would be a space for recognition. But it would also be a place for learning. I know BNI members love CEUs. So this is going to be the fun CEU place. Continuous learning is another value we have.
That's true,
So let's gather, let's learn, let's celebrate and recognize each other. But most importantly, let's listen to the stories, our stories. Let's tell them authentically, and let's use those lessons to, take us further.
Then 10 years later, I still meet people. I met a gentleman yesterday, a lawyer called George. George visited Diamond chapter, and I asked him, so who invited you? He said, oh, Diana. I said, Diana herself? Diana, 10 years later, you're still inviting people to BNI. What would be your advice to a new member? New members join the fine 10-year members, 8-year members, and so on. What would be your advice to them to thrive in this space?
Okay. My main advice to them is understand BNI. There's a program, Member Success Program.
Yeah.
Please do that program. It's for you. It's to equip you. It's to fill two gaps, the knowledge gap and the skill gap, to maximize the BNI system. The other piece of advice I would say is, if you have clarity around why you joined and what you hope to achieve, communicate that to people so that they can help shape and contribute to it. If you have clarity. If you don't have clarity, then as you do your member success program, begin to define, what am I doing here? What do I want to achieve? And then begin to communicate that to members, because people will help you depending on where you want to go and what you want to achieve.
That's true.
Yes. So I know people come to BNI for business. People come to BNI to be part of a network, a thriving network, and people come to BNI to learn alongside others. So clearly define what you're looking for. It helps, because then you can challenge the system, and then you can also ask for what you want.
That's true. Then I know many of us, when we look back 8 years ago when we joined, knowing what we know now, you're like, what was I even thinking to want to join BNI? No clarity, nothing. You're just moving blindly with a registered business. But even without clarity, I must tell our viewers and listeners that BNI is a good space, because being around these accomplished people, it helps you even get the clarity. Diana, is there anything that you still want to add to this conversation that we have probably not touched on? Celebrating BNI at 10, we have the BNI convention happening really soon. This is a pre-convention, pre-launch episode. Anything else you want to share before we close?
Solomon, it's really to appreciate all those people who have walked into the doors called BNI, all those people who have said, I choose to be a member of BNI, all those people who have led in BNI. I like to say that together we are BNI. We are the community. We are the ones who make it work. I like to say that the story of BNI stopped being a story of me long ago. Long ago, it's a story of us. And I just want to honor everybody who has chosen to walk this journey with us, those of us who are still here. And I celebrate everybody who's still choosing to walk that journey today.
Thank you so much, Diana. And thank you to our viewers and listeners who joined in this week to listen to the very first episode of the BNI podcast Uganda, where we'll be telling Uganda business stories and sharing and learning, like Diana mentioned. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same channel, same platform where you're getting this, to listen to one of our very first members who joined BNI. Hopefully they'll tell us how it has been for them, why they decided to take a chance on Diana as well. We have a few 10-year members, and those will be the first ones we host. So until next time, my name is Solomon Tumwesije. I will see you on the next episode of BNI Podcast. Thank you very much.